Hello, health champions. Today I want to talk to you about how to get through the holidays and the parties without getting out of ketosis, without losing your low-carb path. We all know it can be a struggle to be around people who don't share our ideas of what food is. They gorge themselves with cake and cookies and sugar, and they don't understand where we're coming from. So today we're going to help you solve that challenge by talking about the top 10 ultimate keto hacks to survive the parties and the holidays. Coming right up. Hey, I'm Dr. Ekberg. I'm a holistic doctor and a former Olympic decathlete. And if you want to truly master health by understanding how the body really works, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything. So I want to cover 10 different ideas, hacks, concepts, and they're in no particular order, so make sure that you watch all the way through so that you get the big picture. Most people are going to be on a ketogenic diet because they want to lose weight. There are many other benefits as well from fasting and low blood sugar and stable blood sugar, but assuming that most people are doing it to lose weight, then what you're really trying to do is to reverse insulin resistance. And this is not a quick thing. This is not an instantaneous thing. So if you haven't gotten fat adapted, if you haven't been in ketosis for a while, then the party or the holiday is not the time to start. All right, then you just kind of do your thing and learn how to do this properly afterwards. But assuming that you have been in ketosis, you are fat adapted, and you want to get through the holidays without messing it up too much, then here are the things to think about. Do you want to fast before the party? Well, yes and no. You want to fast, you want to do some intermittent fasting, you want to get really fat adapted in the days leading up to the party. Okay, you don't want to be totally fasted and go straight to the party without eating anything in the days or hours before, because then you will be starving and you'll be presented with all these tempting things, and it's just not a reasonable expectation to think that you're going to get through that and not overcompensate and not indulge and lose control. So yes, you do want to be fasted, but fast in the days before, and then on the day of, we're going to talk about what to do. Number 2, be fat adapted. All right, same thing kind of as the fasted. You've done this for a while, and when you're fat adapted, that means that you have your cravings under control. So, okay, this is again part of the long-term plan, that if you are fat adapted, your blood sugar is stable, you're going to be less likely to fall for those temptations. Number 3, mental preparation. All right. So plan this out a little bit. Don't just go there and show up and see what happens. Have an expectation. Know that people might even try to make fun of you. They might expect you. They might tease you and expect you to eat the cakes and the dessert, or maybe even grandma has made that special treat that you like to eat as a kid, and now it's not a good idea to deny that completely. So have an expectation of what's going to happen and plan accordingly. Even write down what you are about to do. Set up some rules for yourself. How much leeway are you going to give yourself? How strict are you going to be? Because then if you clarify that, you're much more likely to be able to stick to it. Number 4, eat at home before. So it doesn't mean that you stuff yourself so that you don't have any kind of appetite, but you don't want to go totally hungry either. And if you lay the foundation of something with some protein and fat, then you'll get to the party and you're not going to need to just get all of your sustenance, all of your food from that party. You have a little bit of a foundation, and then you'll have much, much more control. So have a small meal of something with fat and protein before you go. And then once you get to the party, there's some things that you do want to eat, and you want to focus in on things like Salad, leafy greens, veggies, the carrots, tomato, cauliflower, broccoli, celery, whatever they have cut up. These are typically going to be at most parties. If they have a dressing, then make sure that it's not the low-fat, high-sugar dressings, but that there's something that you know, like a Caesar dressing maybe, or an oil and vinegar dressing. At most parties, there are going to be some things that you can focus in on with protein and fat, like meat, maybe some chicken wings, some cold cuts, some salmon. A lot of parties I go to, being from Scandinavia, they're going to have the smoked salmon. And there's going to be cheese at most parties. So the wings, obviously, if you eat chicken wings, make sure that they're not breaded or coated in a lot of sugar. If you stick to those things, then you're going to be pretty much eating a ketogenic diet already. Some minor details might be to choose fat meat over lean meat, or maybe steak over chicken. So if you're going to a banquet or something and you have a dinner ticket, they get you to select meat or fish beforehand, meat or fish or chicken, then again, it's a minor thing, but maybe if you think that the steak might be more satisfying, more filling, or whatever you feel is the appropriate thing to get you the most satisfied, so you're not going to want to have something afterwards. And number 6, those are of course the things you want to avoid. All right, at any party, there's going to be lots of sugar and bread and crackers, so stay away from the potato chips, stay away from the corn chips, stay away from cookies and crackers and bread and all that stuff. And again, do some mental preparation. Decide ahead of time that those things are not food. They're not something that you eat anymore, so it's not even an option. It's sort of like if I see a soda, if I have Coca-Cola or something and they're going to serve it, it's not even an option. It would be ridiculous for me to even think about that. Then, of course, avoid potatoes, fries, anything breaded, fried especially, and any form of candy or desserts, because you know they're just going to be pretty much 100% sugar in those candy and desserts. Number 7, if it's a potluck dinner where you're supposed to bring something, then of course you bring a keto dish, and you might even want to try to find out what some other people are bringing so you can plan and strategize a little bit so that you have sort of full coverage on that. But even if it's not a potluck, then it's not a bad idea, just as a courtesy, to bring a dish with you. Most people would probably appreciate that. And then you can bring something that you know that you could eat if there was just nothing else at the party. And you might even want to bring a couple of accessories. Some people don't have real butter, for example. They might have a margarine or a low-fat spread of some sort. And then you can just tell them that, hey, you know, this dish I brought, it goes really well with real butter, so I brought some just in case. And same thing with the dressing, that if you bring a salad or something, then say, hey, this dressing goes really well with this salad, and you bring something that you know it has the good stuff in it. And then you want to be just a little bit sneaky and selfish, because chances are if you bring something that's really rich and satisfying, it will be the most popular thing on the table. And then you want to make sure that you get some for yourself, all right? So don't be standing back. Make sure that you dig in while there's still something there for you. Number 8, bring your own dessert, because at these parties, there's going to be desserts, there's going to be cookies and candies and things. And the one thing that you can be pretty sure that there's not going to be is a dessert that is keto friendly. All right, they're going to have some cheese, they're going to have some meat, they're going to have some veggies to dip, but they will most likely not, unless you just know the people you're going to and they think the way you do, they're not going to have a keto friendly dessert. So if you plan at all to have some form of dessert, then bring it yourself. Bring some keto bombs or some keto brownies or keto cookies or something that you know that you'll be covered. Number 9, what is a party without drinks? That might be the most consistent denominator of all parties, is that there's probably going to be some alcoholic beverages. And Alcohol is not a very healthy thing, but it can be okay on keto. The alcohol itself is not going to throw you out of ketosis. The alcohol itself, even though it is sort of metabolized like a form of sugar in the body, it doesn't really raise blood sugar or stimulate insulin. In large quantities, it's metabolized sort of like fructose, and it's a huge burden on your liver. So for long-term insulin resistance, it's one of the worst things that you can do. That's why they call it alcoholic fatty liver versus non-alcoholic fatty liver, all right? Alcohol is not a great idea in the long run, but at a party, if you have one or a few drinks, then it's not going to throw you out of ketosis unless you have a bunch of drinks with sugar in them. So the key is the drinks that you do have, you want to have no sugar, no sweet mixers, no liqueurs, no sweet wines, etc. And then if you have a beer, make sure it's not a full-bodied, good-tasting beer that is pretty much like liquid bread. Right? There are some beers that have very, very low carbs. So if you use an ultralight or a light beer, then you could probably have one and still stay within, just get like 2 or 3 grams of carbs in there. But I would recommend in this order, as far as being keto friendly, that straight liquor, gin, vodka, whiskey, bourbon, cognac, etc., those are distilled, and if they don't have anything added to them, they have 0 sugar by themselves. Dry wine, whether it's white or red, is only going to have 1 to 2 grams per glass typically, and the same thing with champagne, but champagne is kind of white wine to start with, but then they actually add sugar in almost all of them. There's a few rare exceptions, but for the most part, they add some sugar. So you want to get the one that has the least sugar added, which is called Brut. It has less than 12 grams of sugar per bottle added, so you get less than 2 grams added for a glass. And then, like I mentioned, the light beers, make sure that you get something that's low carb. I hope that you manage to stay away from the sugar, because the sugar is sort of that drug that tends to flip a switch, that tends to have you lose control, and one thing leads to another, and that can have repercussions for days to come for some people. So do your absolute best to stay away from the sugar, no matter what else you do with this. Which brings us to number 10, which is damage control. So if you did well, then there's not really any damage to control, then you just go about your thing. If you did a little bit more carb loading, or if you just ate a lot of foods, or you had a couple of drinks, then you probably don't have to change a whole lot. Like if I've been on ketosis for so long, I've done the ketogenic diet now, that I'm, even without trying, I'm pretty much in ketosis. So if I go to a party, I have a few things there, then it might kick me out of ketosis, but then I just don't have any breakfast, and by lunchtime I'm in pretty much the same level of ketosis that I was the day before. So the longer you've gone, the easier it is to get back into it. But it might still be a good idea, especially if you stuffed yourself, then it just feels good mentally to do an intermittent fast. Just have some coffee in the morning, maybe bulletproof coffee, and then get right back into your pattern, and you eat maybe in the afternoon or evening. Give yourself just a little bit extra time, whatever it needs to be for you. But most of all, don't use the party as your excuse to go totally crazy, because you probably will regret it afterwards. You will set yourself back, you won't feel very good physically or in your focus or clarity. So just do the best you can, and realize that you can do the parties and have a good time and stay in ketosis, or at least very, very close to it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you look at that one. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.